Right, Nom, we've been summoned to the chairman's house and I need best behaviour from you tonight. After the run of results we've had, I fear this could be a talk about the sack.
Here.
What do you mean an invite, not a summons? It's you he wants to see, not me. Alan, what's he talking about? What do you mean he loved the painting? Best gift he ever got? Party in your honour? I don't believe this. He's given it pride of place. Hold on a second. I've got his club a promotion and potentially European football and a cup final. I've not even had a thank you. Nom gives him a painting of himself and everybody stood around applauding. I've seen celebrities here tonight. Who's that Alan's with? Is that Val Kilmer? Alan! I don't know why Nom's hobnobbing with the board of directors and Val Kilmer, no less. Muggins here is scrapping for his footballing life. Since we saw you for the last episode, we've played a whole bunch of games. The month after the last episode was probably the best I've had at Dob, but the 6 weeks that followed have been nothing short of catastrophic. So when you were here last, we were beating Gorica 2-0 in front of the YouTube cameras, and what a run that started. We followed it up with a 2-0 victory against Chela, our first derby win over Domjala as we beat them 1-0. We followed it up with an important 1-0 win against a Tabor Shajana side who are also chasing those European berths, and a 0-0 draw with Mura meant that it was 5 clean sheets in a row, and we had opened up a gap between us and the teams outside the European placings that was 9 points in total. But then the run started. There was one more bright light in an otherwise very bleak few weeks. We managed to take Olympia to penalties in the quarter-final of the Cup. Young Rock Shernay stepped up and slotted away the winning goal. So we've managed to make it all the way through to a cup semi-final where even though champions Koper and Slovenia's arguably biggest side Maribor are in the other semi-final, we've been drawn against an Aluminium outfit that are below us in the league, and you would think that it would be a winnable tie, but after the run we've been on, who knows? Because following that 0-0 draw with Mura, we went on to lose 5 of the next 8, starting with a 1-0 defeat to Koper. Just days after beating them in the Cup, we then went down 4-1 to Olympia, followed by a 3-1 humbling in our next game as we travelled to take on Maribor. In our next 3 fixtures, we played the 3 sides at the bottom of the table, but we were only able to take 1 point from a possible 9. We lost to Gorica and then got a 1-1 draw against today's Cup opponents Aluminium, with Dennis Valencic scoring. And despite our young striker Dennis the Menace making it 2 in 2 games when he scored against Chela, we went down 3-1 to a team that are at the foot of the table. So in our next game, as we took on Domjala in the derby, we decided to make changes, and they paid off. Even though we've been struggling with injuries and suspensions, the tactical tweaks we made led to a comprehensive 4-0 victory against our near neighbours, and it just gives us hope that we're back on form in time for the Cup semi. So before that victory against Domjala in the last fixture, we'd been on the worst run since we took over, and I was fearing that we might get a summons to the boardroom. Hopefully that win's bought us a little bit of time. It was a crucial one as well. If we'd have lost it, Domjala would have jumped ahead of us in the European places and would be 3 points clear. Instead, it's us that's 3 points clear of them, and we've got 5 games remaining this season. But today, we're taking a break from league action to bring you a cup semi-final. Now, if we could make it all the way to the final of the Slovenian Pokal in our first season as a top-flight club, then that would be some kind of achievement. But in amongst all of those defeats, we also had the shining light of a new batch of youth players arriving at the club, and we were promised a golden generation. And it brings me absolute pleasure to announce that the head of youth development was talking absolute nonsense. At best, this is a bang average group of youth players. I think it might be worse than that. There are some with decent personalities, such as Juddy Umboyo, a Belgian winger, who's fairly professional, but the ones with the good personalities are also the ones that are least highly rated, so I'm guessing they have the lowest potential ability. And some of the ones that are down on this list, by the way, have absolutely terrible personalities as well, such as Mate Kuzmic, who is casual. He's an absolute non-starter, never going to make an appearance for the club. Tadej Machin is one of just a growing number of youth players coming through with an unambitious personality. You can't develop these players easily when they're unambitious, so that is going to be a struggle. There are some players that you never know might go on and be of some use to the club. I quite liked Alan Zupanic. He's another fairly determined player. He's got some reasonable coach summary reports. He's committed, he's naturally fit, but he's also a central midfielder that's 5'5". Is he going to be able to battle away in there? I'm not entirely sure that he is. The two best players that came through, both have major question marks against them for my money. One was a central defender. Now, in our initial youth report, they said we had a C-grade central defender coming through and an A-grade attacking midfielder. Well, I think the A-grade attacking midfielder only became branded as a good talent. I think that was Aaron Navarro, who has dual Slovenian and Argentinian nationality. Fairly professional, not bad, but no determination, no strength, inconsistent. I mean, seriously. So the C-grade central defender actually ended up becoming branded a top talent, and that is Damian Beshak, an unsporting personality. Let me know down in the comments, what on earth does that mean? Is he going to be, pranking his teammates, arguing with officials? Is he going to be going down injured when he's not? I don't know what an unsporting personality really refers to, but he's a centre-half that can't head. He's a centre-half that's 5'11". He's a centre-half that is slow and needs to improve his pace. Again, Damian, are you going to be making a first-team appearance? I have my doubts. We're pinning all our hopes with this youth intake on Martin Ivacic, a striker that we didn't really need, potentially a deep-lying forward. He's got a fairly determined personality, which is not the worst, but it doesn't give us any clues as to his professionalism, which is what you really need to develop as a youngster. On the plus side, he's got a good team ethic. It also says that he's made some improvements in training recently, and he's also committed. But other than running around a lot, it doesn't mention whether he's quick, whether he can shoot, whether he's technical or not. We know that he doesn't have the greatest jumping reach, and he's yet another in this crop of youngsters that is going to be wildly inconsistent. So even Martin Ivacic, I don't think is going to go on and become a first-team player. So it's a bit of a duff batch, I'm afraid, and we need reinforcements because the squad has experienced injuries and suspensions. But before we pick that side for a Slovenian Pokal semi-final, we're welcoming yet another channel member to the channel. This time it's James Smith, who found that little join button below. We cannot thank James enough for his generosity. What a reward it would be if we were able to reach a Slovenian Cup final, but I fear, James, it might be a little bit tougher than that. So it's not ideal, but the Slovenian Cup semi-final comes just 3 days after we defeated Domžale, so the turnaround of games has been pretty swift, but I think I'm going to announce an unchanged lineup. We've given some of the players a day off from training. We also subbed off 5 of our key players when we were 3-0 up against Domžale, so the fitness isn't too bad. Nechlevet could do with maybe a couple of more days rest, but we've had some really bad injuries recently. We've had Makovic out, we've had Mitrovic out, we've had Timmy Zidane out for a while, and he's still a couple of days away from returning. So we're going to be playing our sub-left back, Matevž Križnić, who's the most unhappy player in the world because he's decided that he's frustrated that nobody's come in for him for a loan bid. I've offered him out countless times on loan. He thinks I wasn't trying hard enough. It's just nobody was in the slightest bit interested. He's going to be filling in at right back today. We've also had suspensions to Kasnic, who's picked up yet another red card this season. And coupled with all of that loss of players, we've had a front three that until the last game really were not performing very well at all. So we're going to need better performances from them again today. Some of them, such as Grigorin and Gajic, I think, don't enjoy the big matches. So that's going to be difficult because they don't come a lot bigger than a cup semi-final. Otherwise, I think this is our strongest lineup. You pop Timmy Zidane in there as right back, and we're back to the side that essentially started the season for us. Our bench is going to be stacked with youngsters. Denis Valencic has now got 3 goals in the league, as well as 2 in the cup. So Dirty Den's got 5 senior goals for the club. His training is starting to pick up a little bit, although it is variable. And he's another player that I think maybe this might be just too big an occasion for him, because none of our youngsters have really come into the side and performed particularly well, including Matija Kavcic, who I had big hopes for when this youth intake came through 12 months ago. He was the one that was branded as the one with most potential, but in 10 appearances for the club, his average rating is 6.68. Maybe his time will come. He's still developing well in training, but I think this is an occasion that's just coming too early for our youngsters. So we go with our more experienced lineup. Have they got one big performance, even though some of the legs are a little bit tired? It's a cup semi-final. We're taking on Aluminium. This game's a welcome break for Aluminium, who are scrapping for their lives towards the foot of the table. And after a poor run following the winter break, they are now 3 games unbeaten, including a draw against us. Their star man is Marco Brest, who was actually nominated for Slovenian Young Player of the Year, an award that was won by Benjamin Seško. And despite their poor form in the league, they've stuck by coach Robert Pevnic, and he'll be hoping to guide Aluminium to a cup final as well as survival in order to secure his job for next season. So no neutral venues for Slovenian Cup semi-finals, it would seem. We've been given home advantage for this game. Will it be an advantage, the form that we've been in? I don't know, but we made some tactical tweaks before the Domžale game, and I've left those in play for today. Hopefully they're going to work. We've changed some of the roles a little bit now. Our 2 wide players are both on support duties, so hopefully they'll get more involved with the build-up play and give us greater numbers as we're going through those transitions and trying to attack. But we've also gone down to a cautious mentality, and we've upped the tempo a little. So we'll sit back a little bit more, take fewer risks, but when we go, we're going to go with a little bit more impetus and be a little bit more urgent, I would say, in our ambitions towards trying to counterattack. However, 15 minutes into this game, we've shown absolutely nothing, and Aluminium have twice threatened our goal. We've got work to do. Now it's a corner to Aluminium, and they are really pressing. They've made a blistering start, and they've taken the lead. It's Cobbler. Of course it's Cobbler, who reins in at the near post, and we've given away a soft goal. Oh, how many times are we going to look fragile? It's just like our defensive players don't have that aggression to challenge the opposition, and we've got it all to do. We've got no shots in the first 26 minutes of the game. We've just had our first. We're going to demand more. I think we've actually shaded that first half in terms of the stats, but we're behind on the scoreboard. For the second half, we've brought Šípek on for Levek, more because of fitness, really, rather than Levek performing particularly poorly. And Šípek, well, he's another player that's not been in the goals for an awful long time. He's going to go out on the left wing for us today. You never know. He might discover that lethal touch. We doubt it, but you never know. We've got to get the next goal in this game. I think if we go 2-0 down, the cup dream is over. We are at least creating the occasional chance now, so I'm going to leave it another couple of minutes. We've got Gajic going down the right, but this is not a highlight for us. They've won the ball on the edge of their box, and now they're breaking forward. Jagic gives it to Brest, the danger man for the opposition, but he's been robbed by Gajic. Now let's move the ball forward with a bit of urgency. With a bit of urgency. They're not doing it with any urgency whatsoever. Av Belge, back to Mitrovic, back to Petek. This is playing on a higher tempo, and it's led to us being robbed in possession, and now they're through on goal. And we have got a very lucky let-off. Did Firmashek just get a touch on that? They've given a corner. He must have done. Slamberger is on the ball once more. Possibly my favourite name in Slovenian football. We've headed it clear. Now it's time to make some changes. So Darko Mitrovic really needs to come off, but I daren't bring on any of our other central defenders because they're all terrible. We are going to throw the kitchen sink at it. We're going to go for a 4-4-2 diamond. We're going to switch it up to a positive mentality as well. We've still got the tempo fairly high, so hopefully when we win the ball, we're going to go at them quickly. We've got, 25 minutes left to try and find an equaliser. That's not looked hugely likely so far. It's an even game, probably a game that deserves to be 0-0. We need to try and make it 1-1. We've got Šípek, who's now playing in the number 10 slot. We've freed Gajic, who's now a striker up front, and he's managed to get a cross into his strike partner, Grigorin, who doesn't challenge for it again. The ball's bobbling around in their box. We've won it back. That can't have been the chance. Let's see if we can build something more meaningful. Petek. We've got Krishnic. He's got players in front of him, and Gajic is in. He's through. He's not quick enough. He's been charged down. So Grigorin was on a 6.4. We're subbing on Dirty Den. He's going to become a target forward up front for us. I'm going to have to throw it up to an attacking mentality. I'm even going to increase our lines of engagement as we try to chase an equaliser. It's not looked like it's coming in the last few minutes. Maybe this might just sting the boys into action. We're going to throw out a shout of demand more in case this highlight doesn't lead to a goal. We've got the ball over on the right. Here's Kigler, and he's got Valencic in. And Valencic has done it. We might whisper it quietly. We might have our first youth player who's becoming a bit of a star for the club. That's his third goal in the cup, I believe. And he took this chance well. We've got Krishnic to Kigler, and he has sent a great ball through, and he has firmly placed it past the keeper. We need to get in and try and cancel that demand more shout if we can. We found an equaliser. Can we find a winner before the full-time whistle goes? It will go straight to extra time if it's level at 90 minutes. Could we just find a second goal before that? Or is it going to be Aluminium that break our hearts late on? The ball's gone into our box. We've robbed it. Kigler brings it clear. Now we're looking to counter-attack with some urgency. He's breaking down the left. He's used Makovic. He's decided to go back to Mitrovic. Okay, we're into the midfield once more. We're working the ball forward, and we've got players in. Gajic, if he's onside, he might have scored the goal that's got us into a Slovenian Cup final. I'm seeing no flags. I'm seeing no VAR reviews. And what a finish that was by a player who's been in no form whatsoever. And Šípek turns the ball around the corner. Gajic takes it first time, hits it right into the top corner of the net. And we've got 5 minutes left to play, and we're not staying on an attacking mentality. So the lines have come down, the tempo has come down, and I think we might have just seen this game through. 4 minutes were added on by the referee. We're over that time now, and we are 2-1 up in a game that we were 1-0 down in. And I think it's the tactical changes that have really helped. And the boys, to their credit, they've turned it around. Dirty Den got us the first, Gajic got us the second, and we're heading to a cup final. And we're going to be taking on Copper, who've left it late, but they've got an 86th minute penalty spot winner against Maribor to set up a final that they will be wholly confident of winning against a club of our stature. We've got 5 league games to go to try and secure European football, as well as a cup final that would give us route to European competition as well. We're going to be coming back for a very big game in our next episode of the Dobfather.